If you asked 10 random people what accountants do, most of them would say something about taxes or spreadsheets and leave it there. And if you're considering accounting as a career, or you're early in one, you might only know your own corner of the field. Accounting is actually a broad profession, with genuinely different career paths, different work, different environments, different compensation, different day-to-day experience. This video breaks all of it down. Before getting into the specific paths, it's worth being clear about what accounting actually is at its core. Every organization that handles money, businesses, governments, nonprofits, hospitals, needs people who can record financial transactions accurately, report that information in a way that's useful and compliant, and make sense of what the numbers mean. Accounting is the infrastructure that makes that possible. It's not glamorous as a description, but it's also why accountants exist in essentially every industry and every sector of the economy. The field splits into several distinct paths, and the experience of working in one can be dramatically different from working in another. The credential set overlaps. The CPA is relevant across most of them, but the day-to-day work, the culture, the compensation, and the career trajectory vary significantly depending on where you land. Public accounting means working at a firm that provides accounting services to external clients. Those clients can be corporations, privately held businesses, nonprofits, government entities, or individuals depending on the firm and the service line. The three main practice areas are audit, tax, and advisory. Audit is the process of independently verifying that a company's financial statements are accurate and presented fairly. This is required by law for public companies and by lenders or investors for many private ones. Tax covers compliance work like preparing and filing returns as well as planning work that helps clients structure their affairs efficiently. Advisory is a broader category that includes everything from transaction support and due diligence to risk consulting and IT audit. Big Four firms, Deloitte, PwC, EY, and KPMG, are the largest public accounting firms and operate globally. Regional and boutique firms do similar work at a smaller scale, often with a more specialized focus. Public accounting is generally the highest intensity path early in a career, but it's also the one that tends to build the most transferable skills quickly. Industry accounting means working inside a company, as part of its internal finance and accounting function, rather than at an external firm. This is where the majority of accountants work, and it covers a wide range of roles. Corporate accounting handles the day-to-day recording and reporting of financial transactions. Financial reporting focuses on producing the external-facing financial statements. FP&A, financial planning and analysis, focuses on budgeting, forecasting, and helping management make decisions based on financial data. Controllership sits at the top of the internal accounting function and oversees all of it. The experience in industry is generally more stable and more predictable than public accounting. Hours are more consistent, the work is narrower but deeper, and you're building expertise in one company's business rather than rotating across clients. It's also the most common destination for people who exit public accounting after a few years, which means the pipeline into it is well established. Government and nonprofit accounting doesn't get talked about much in the context of accounting careers, but it's a significant part of the field and worth understanding. Federal, state, and local governments all employ accountants to manage public funds, prepare financial reports, and ensure compliance with regulations. The accounting standards are different. Many government entities use GASB standards rather than the GAAP framework used in the private sector. So there's a learning curve if you come from a private sector background. Nonprofit accounting involves managing funds across different restricted categories, tracking grant compliance, and producing reports for donors and regulators. It requires a specific understanding of fund accounting that isn't covered in most standard accounting curricula. The trade-offs in this sector are consistent. More stability, more predictable hours, stronger job security, and a lower compensation ceiling than the private sector. For people who want technically interesting work in a lower pressure environment, or who want their work to connect to something beyond the company's bottom line, it's a path that's worth taking seriously. Forensic accounting is one of the more distinct corners of the profession. Forensic accountants investigate financial crimes, fraud, disputes, and irregularities, working alongside law enforcement, legal teams, regulators, and insurance companies to figure out what happened and quantify the damage. The work can involve analyzing financial records to identify fraudulent transactions, supporting litigation as an expert witness, calculating damages in legal disputes, or assisting with insurance claims that involve financial losses. It's detail-oriented, investigative work that sits at the intersection of accounting and law. The relevant credential in this space is the CFE, Certified Fraud Examiner, which is separate from the CPA and focuses specifically on fraud prevention and detection. Many forensic accountants hold both. It's a niche path, but demand for it is growing. Financial crime, corporate fraud, and complex litigation aren't going anywhere, and the number of people who combine accounting expertise with investigative capability is relatively small. Tax accounting exists in two main contexts: inside public accounting firms and inside corporate tax departments, and the experience differs significantly between them. On the public accounting side, tax accountants prepare and review returns for clients, advise on structuring decisions, handle complex compliance situations, and do planning work that helps clients minimize their tax burden legally. It's client-facing, deadline-driven, and highly technical. Busy season on the tax side is real, and it runs on a firm calendar dictated by filing deadlines. On the corporate side, in-house tax teams manage the company's own tax position, ensuring compliance, managing audits by tax authorities, and advising the business on the tax implications of decisions. It's more focused, less varied, and generally more stable than the public side. Tax is one of the more recession-resistant specializations in accounting. As long as tax law exists and changes, which it does constantly, there's demand for people who understand it. The CPA is the standard credential, and some tax professionals pursue an LLM in taxation for additional specialization. The right accounting path depends almost entirely on what you're optimizing for, and being honest with yourself about that early saves a lot of time. Public accounting is the right starting point for people who want to build fast, develop broad skills quickly, and keep exit options open. The intensity is real, but the resume it builds is transferable across almost every other path on this list. Industry is the right fit for people who want stability, more predictable hours, and the chance to go deep in one business rather than rotating across many. It's also where most people land eventually, which means it's not a consolation prize. It's the destination for a significant portion of the profession. Government and nonprofit makes sense for people who want job security, a manageable pace, and work that connects to something beyond a company's financial performance. The compensation trade-off is real, but so are the benefits. Forensic accounting fits people who are drawn to investigative work, aren't looking for a conventional accounting career, and want something that sits at the intersection of finance and law. Tax is for people who like highly technical, rules-based work, and want a specialization that stays in demand, regardless of what the broader economy is doing. Accounting is not one job. It's a broad field with genuinely different career experiences, depending on where you go and what you specialize in. The stereotype, someone sitting alone crunching numbers with no human interaction, doesn't describe most of these paths accurately. Most people don't realize how many options exist until they're already a few years into one of them. Getting a clear picture of the full landscape before you commit to a direction is worth the time, because the paths diverge early and switching later is possible, but not always easy. That's the full breakdown of what accountants actually do across every major path in the profession. If you want more on specific careers in public accounting, what the levels look like, what the pay is, what the day-to-day actually feels like, more videos are below. Subscribe if this was useful.